What is up, everybody? Happy Friday! Welcome into the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour. If you're new here, hit the old like and subscribe button. I am one half of your host, Mr. Nick Teodoro. Joining me, as always, is my tag team partner in life, Miss Nicole. Miss Nicole, what are you drinking this evening?
Happy Friday, kids. I am drinking my normal Tito's orange and cranberry. What about you, Mr. Nick? And I need you to tell us our three things for
Mr. Nick, as usual, has his red wine. Well, the Wyatt 6, we have a debut date, or what we think is. Darby Allin returned, and Solo Sikoa is the active leader of the tribe, or the acting tribal chief. So let's kick it into gear. One of our favorite wrestlers of all time, Bray Wyatt, inspired faction. The Wyatt 6 is presumed to debut at King of the Ring in Saudi Arabia next Saturday. Nikki? We have seen a lot of vignettes.
So, yeah, basically since they did the Wyatt documentary, and spoilies if you haven't seen it, it's been live for a little bit, but it's mostly Bray talk. Bo Dallas talking about Bray, and at the end of the documentary, there's a little tease that Uncle Howdy's going to come back. So since then, there's been the QR codes and pictures of the crow and the Pluto sign. But this week, I feel really kicked it into high gear. There was, of course, scan the QR code during the Shayna Io match. And it's the first time that this go-around that commentary has commented on it. And, of course, Pat McAfee in Pat McAfee fashion, he's like, oh, I scanned it. It's a freaking video. And then he started, like, barking or wolfing or whatever weird noise he made.
He's like very dark. I think he wanted to use, like, JR used to use the term macabre a lot, and like I think he wanted to use something like that. But Pat's not eloquent. Yeah,
for Pat.
it's way too big for Pat McAfee.
But if you scanned the QR code that showed up during the match, it took you to, I'm not encoding, but like some HTML sort of thingy, and it kept saying like 1 2 1 2 1 2. And there was like people are saying that's like a divine angel thing. And then if you clicked on something else, then it took you to a subfolder called Door. And there was 20 kind of like JPEGs, like pictures to look at. And if you kind of if you opened all of them, they were like notes and scribblings and handwriting and like sayings and certain things to see. And it's like, can you keep a secret? A
lot of just different like screenshots pieced together, kind of like I was just watching True Detective season 4, but it was kind of like that, where like you just piece it together like a detective, and like you had screenshots of every little thing. It was pretty neat. It's a classic Bray Wyatt, type inspired video.
Most of the notes is like I showed them how to open the door. They were all alone. Can you keep a secret? If you don't see it, you don't know what you're looking at. I Am All of Us, which is a call out to a Firefly Funhouse skit where Uncle Hattie was doing the weather and like his computer voice said, I am all of us, I'm free, all his little Pluto signs. There was like a weird mirror thing. And then it cut to one of the last ones was a news article that said local woman reported missing. The article was by Wendy Lucho, which is obviously an anagram for Uncle Howdy.
Which, just randomly, people have figured that stuff out. I'm not.
I know, like this is me like scanning the interwebs because
I feel like I have a pretty good attention to detail, but like that type of stuff is like, it's like some Rain Man type stuff. I just can't. I can't do it. I don't know like how you like some people figure that out. It's like, oh yeah, Uncle Howdy.
Yeah, so the image that Nick has up now has come up in QR codes before. I can get to that, and it's also what happened on Thursday in a second. But what Nick has circled is that's allegedly the date of King, Queen of the Ring. So people are thinking that, again, in Roman numerals, that they're going to debut.
Right. The theory is that next Saturday at Saudi Arabia's King of the Ring, that this group is going to debut. Well, these people. Technically, it's the following. It's multiple people. That's what we know for sure. But we don't know, in theory, how many.
So one of the last photos in from the QR code on Monday had like for our young kids a floppy disk, which you used to put in a computer tower. It listed Thursday's date 5/16/24, 4 p.m. and underneath that said "Witch" in all caps. And then there was a little plus sign on the other side. So put them together.
Wait, just stop right there because you made that, you threw it out there for our audience. That how many people know of floppy? Like honestly, like I remember using them for the longest time. It's
we're old.
I know, but like now it's just so crazy, like to think about that because I have people at work that are young, and I'm like, and I found a floppy disk at work, and I was like, do you know what this is? And
well, that's
good
like, it's so crazy. Like this saved and like and Word and Doc, like the little save button is the little floppy disk. Like kids have no idea what that is, but we digress.
Let us know if you know what a floppy disk is. Put it in the chat below because I want to hear from you all.
So putting that together, something's happening on Twitch on Thursday. And it turns out to be this almost an hour-long crazy therapy session. And sort of backtracking in that article that there was a missing woman, the picture is, I believe her name is Rachel somebody. And if you're going backtrack to when WWE had that show on FS1 called Backstage, there was these little vignettes that this woman, Rachel, was being a therapist or psychiatrist. And there were little skits, and like Seth Rollins was on there, Becky Lynch was on there, some other people, and then of course The Fiend was on there.
It reminded me of No, because it was after. They used to do stuff with like the Dr.
Shelby?
Yes, Dr. Shelby. I couldn't forget his name. Yeah, the Kane Daniel Bryan stuff.
Yeah, and then eventually Sasha Bailey. But yeah, so kind of like it was just skits for that show Backstage. So if you didn't really watch that show, then I don't think, honestly, I learned all about this today because I did not watch Backstage. But basically, she was like a psychiatrist. She was trying to connect with Bray and talk to Bray, and then of course spoopy things happen, and then she disappears from her therapist chair, and then like Bray Wyatt's in it. So cut to the Twitch stream yesterday at 4 o'clock. It starts out, again, I watched this whole thing this afternoon. It cuts to a opening of Raw of May of 2016, and Vicky Guerrero is welcoming everyone to Raw and introduces Kane. And if you put your, go back in your mind palace, this is when Bray debuted attacking Kane, which led to the SummerSlam match.
Inferno match. Which is awesome. Like, Bray's debut was great, but like to have your first match be like SummerSlam and Inferno match, like for that character and what he was supposed to represent coming in, it was the best build-up. And like, again, how many people their first match is that? Is like,
yeah, I was saying it being like, it's not just I don't like him as a person, but Kane was such a veteran to come in and your first program with Kane. It's SummerSlam. Was the match that great? But again, so it calls back to Kane, and then like all this like I can't like the jump cuts and I'm getting not a video person, but all they keep intercutting.
Meridian wants to know where you can watch all the break.
I YouTubed it. I just put like Twitch stream Bray Wyatt, or Uncle Howdy, like it pops up.
It's honestly, it's locked up. Like an hour. I give Nikki a lot of credit because I sat with her and I kind of went in and out, and it's a lot. It's a lot of the Bray Wyatt cuts.
So it starts with Vicky Guerrero, the Kane thing.
Lisa remembers floppy disks as well.
Thanks, Lisa. Love you. So then it cuts to this chair with this spooky mirror on it. And again, in the JPEGs or in the Monday QR code, you see the chair, you see the mirror. The mirror creeped me out the whole time. I kept staring at it. But she comes in and she's like talking to someone. At this point, you're assuming she's talking to Uncle Howdy. No one is talking back to her. You just hear like scribbling. And she's getting up and getting handed like paper. So all the papers that you saw on that QR code is basically what she's reading.
Yeah, so she goes through a whole number of papers, and basically him saying like I found my purpose and all like an epiphany of sorts.
Yeah, it's a lot of like I set them free, I opened the door, like I found my purpose. I'm gonna let them know. And there's a lot of like he and the jump cuts to a lot to like family. I set them free, the door. So it definitely feels like, which I really love, because in the one part he was like, they were left alone and I set them free. And I was like, oh, like he's talking about like the fun house. He's like, all Bray's kid things were left in the house, and he opened the door and he's letting them back out again. And it's just like when Bray re-debuted, I guess 6 months before he passed, whatever, there was Extreme Rules. Then they had that amazing shot when he like opened the door and came out, and I hope they do something similar to that. I think that's like all the Adore illusions to me is what they're making.
So the rumor, so it begs the question, who will, because you've kind of touched on, who will be in the Wyatt Six? So there's rumors of who will be. There's thoughts that due to the connection, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, one or both. There is thoughts potentially that, again, Eric Rowan was signed, so Eric Rowan is believed to be
at the Performance Center this past week. I'm not 100% sure of the day, but he was at the PC this week.
The other names that are rumored are one of my favorites, Joe Gacy. I know you're not a huge fan.
I just hope this makes him interesting. I don't know. I didn't like this
I liked his whole gimmick. It was like a
delusional
psychiatrist.
Very much potential there.
He was on the other side of the Bray Wyatt side. He was the psychiatrist. He was the delusional psychiatrist. And then you have Dexter Lumis as well. And I throw in, because we've seen him, although the talk is that he won't be, Braun Strowman. So question is, who do you want to see in the Wyatt Six? Who do you think will be in the Wyatt Six? Would you have wanted to see Braun Strowman in it? Is he better off as a feud for them?
I think it'd be a great feud, to be honest with you. Maybe not the first one, but maybe the bigger one. Because again, he was backstage and he was like, cheer Ricochet on. And
Ed's upset with you. You don't like former CZW guy Joe Gacy.
No, it's just, maybe it's just because they did the Grizzled Young Veterans dirty. And I just didn't like them together. I think early, and then I didn't.
Add it, Nia Jax, now Joe Gacy.
No,
Nikki's burials. I'm gonna make some memes of Nikki just burying people with shovels.
No, I'm not burying Joe Gacy. No,
well, I think Lisa's happy about Dexter.
I don't know. I just feel like he was trying to like, I don't know, like, oh, you're snowflakes. And they had like Harlan, what's his face, Parker Boudreaux, which was, I don't know how I felt about that. I think he can talk, and I think maybe.
Quick cut video. Absolutely, Steve. That's exactly what's going to happen. Nikki's going to have her own cut video of just. I'm just going to put people that she's burying. I have to find a good way. As my editing skills get better and the production value of this show gets better.
I think the only person I said I don't like on this show is her.
I don't know. Well, Joe Gacy, it's questionable. It's questionable.
I feel like there's potential there.
You're 50-50 booking him in the Nikki world.
If I can finish a goddamn sentence, Nick Theodore, I swear to God. I think there's potential there. I think he can talk. I just necessarily didn't like everything he did in NXT.
Fair enough.
I think maybe him and Dijak, that was a fun feud, but is he like my favorite? Oh, I can't wait for him to pop on my screen. No. But I think is this some potential being on main Triple H with Bo Dallas, like with some veterans and better storylines and things that can be scripted and videotaped and edited and played with it, then maybe he can, that's better for him. I'm excited about Dexter Lumis. I like Dexter Lumis a lot. I think him just being that creepy, like silent, like him in the way and him with Indy, like I love that so much going into it. So I think that I would love to see Dexter on my screen. I think he's a good wrestler. I think him and Rowan being that strong kind of silent type, and then having Bo, Howdy, and Gacy being the talkers.
Ed, pretty sure HBK dropped the world title because he had the schism knee.
I'm not seeing any of the comments on my sticky notes up. And then I think I'm assuming, like, I know Alexa Bliss said that she was like working out again, like she had the baby in December. I know, like, Carmella had her baby first and like Alexa was like right after, but she said she was training again. I would love to see, I love, again, Nick Club, love Nikki Cross. For her to be like kind of like unhinged, like how she was in Sanity back in NXT, I think to bring that back, I think it'd be fun. Like I wasn't in love with her, Nikki.
I don't know if I want to see two. I don't know, two sisters Abigail. I don't know.
Yeah, but it doesn't
Pick
have to
one
be
or go.
sisters. It doesn't have to be two. Like, you think like Alexa would be like Queen Bee, and then like Nikki would kind of be like her lackey, sort of like when they were tag team champions.
No, I think that diminishes her too much. I don't like it.
Maybe there can be two strong females in a faction, Nick.
No, it can't be. So that means even on Ladies' Night of All.
On Ladies' Night.
But we've got plenty more to discuss. So let us know. I don't know. Who do you want to see in the Wyatt 6? In the comments below. Chime in. Join the discussion. As we get to our mid-card topic of the evening. Ladies and gentlemen, on Wednesday evening, in the closing segments of AEW Dynamite, stemming from a New Japan-ish storyline to some extent, the Young Bucks actually went over to New Japan during one of their pay-per-views and actually attacked.
It wasn't a New Japan Strong show. So
Global Resurgence.
Yeah, so it was stateside.
But they went to a New Japan show, regardless. It was a New Japan show.
Ed.
They took out Nikki's favorite, Eddie Kingston.
My Eddie.
And opening up a spot for Team AEW, air quotes. And after a match, brutal beatdown, we see a returning Darby Allin, ladies and gentlemen, to fill the void of Team AEW. We talked about this last week about who would be better suited than Bryan Danielson and Eddie Kingston and even FTR, who weren't true homegrown AEW guys. And we come to Darby Allin, who cannot be killed.
Oh, baby.
PCO may have the gimmick going, he's not human, but what's it? Breaking ankles, getting hit by buses. Through glass.
Broke his foot, couldn't go on his Everest excursion. He wanted to climb Mount Everest, can't. Then got hit by a fucking bus in New York City. You can see, I don't know if you can tell, but you can definitely tell, on his nose, he's wearing a nose brace cast thing because he got hit by a bus.
See, I couldn't tell when you tell. I mean, I guess that's the value of wearing face paint.
You can tell, that's not a normal nose. That's not what his nose looked like.
True, but I mean, the white makeup kind of helps.
No, it doesn't. You can tell.
To me, I don't know.
So he has a fucked up foot, broke, his nose is messed up, got hit by a bus. But let's be in an Anarchy at the Arena match. Tony has no other toys in the toy box. At least it makes sense because he's a pillar. I feel he's AEW original. Makes sense that he's like, I gotta defend AEW. I don't care that I'm messed up. Boo, boo, boo. But it's you got nobody. You have to, it's same with Daniel Bryan. It's something happens, Cole got injured and MJF got injured, so let's bring Bryan Danielson back. Oh, by the way, during this whole beatdown segment before he came in, so the Elite come out and they're beating the hell, obviously, out of Dax, who's already just lost the match. It was a Continental, they call it Continental Classic title. What's it called again? Yes. One of the 47,000 titles. Well, I call it Crunch Wrap, but same thing. Yeah, Continental, Intercontinental, Continental, European 24/7 title, whatever it is now. Against Okada, loses to Okada, and then gets beat down. I'm thinking then Roddy's belt is that's the not Mid-Atlantic. What's Roddy's belt? Because it's two different. Man. Didn't Eddie have both? I can't. No. Hold on, comments. Let me see. Someone's gonna correct it. No. It's a number 7 on the Taco Bell. Man. Yeah, there's two different. So the belt that Okada has is a belt that they had that weird try to be like a G1 Climax tournament. That's that belt. Yeah. And then Roddy has that international belt that he took off OC. Right. So but in my brain, I crosswire them. So in the match, basically, it was setting up the Anarchy in the Arena. It's my line. Don't steal my line. It set up Anarchy in the Arena, the beatdown that the Elite, the new Elite, whatever we're calling them, had on. Dax is already beat up. Cash comes in. Right. Danielson comes in. Gets beat down, then ultimately leading to Darby. But they start chanting, same thing. CM Punk at Jack Perry. It's almost like which is comical because most
I would argue most AEW fans are smart wrestling fans than the smart more than the average wrestling fan. So like a WWE fan. So it's just comical that like they're chanting that, knowing full well it's never ever gonna happen. And like it's just it just looks so bad. But I digress. You stole my line. Any thoughts?
No,
what are your thoughts on?
Edward, what about Ricky? And I said that last week, but I think Ricky has been tweeting that like that people are like, why are you not on TV? He's like, well, it's not my decision. So I think they're just waiting for him to, I don't know when his contract's up, but as soon as he can go, he's going to WWE for sure. But and then also the post-match promo from the Good Guys, Darby was saying when I believe Dax hit Okada with the superplex or whatever, not the standing, whatever, when he did the suplex, the beam of the ring, because Darby was underneath the ring, the beam hit him in the head, and he thought he got knocked out. And that's something, he's like, I'm going to the hospital, guys. I'm like, no, I love Darby. Yeah. I don't want him in this match. He's like the size of my leg. Like, give him some time to recuperate from all the crap.
He's AEW's Mikey Whipwreck.
It's like,
but they're going to give him more of a push.
And he's injured immediately. I'm like, I don't know who else I had. Like,
or Jeff Hardy.
Like, I think OC would be good because he feels like a homegrown guy, but like,
who?
Orange Cassidy. But like, he's intertwined in other stuff. Like, I don't know who's a homegrown.
He might be turning heel now. Who knows?
No, I don't want him with Callis or Moly. That makes me so upset. But, I don't know if there's someone that's on that. Maybe this is just Darby. Like, who's like that upper mid card level that's AEW Ridge that would make sense in that match. And if you don't have someone, then shame on Tony Khan.
Unless he's trying to do, are they going to do a double Anarchy Theory, like wait and then like eventually finally get an Elite Four that actually are good enough to overtake them?
The pay-per-view is next weekend.
No, I mean like this is the first, and then eventually like a year or whatever it is, 6 months from now, it's like their fourth is Hangman, and I mean like Darby and Hangman would have been more realistic.
Yeah, but Hangman was going on that heel turn spree.
Just hire Jinder, yes.
Yeah, but if Hook's leaving, there's no point.
We'll see. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. We'll see. Again, that's going to be part of our crazy weekend that we have coming up. Next weekend, we're going to have 2 shows. Our normal Friday. Again, we're here Fridays at 6 every Friday. Next weekend for Memorial Day weekend, there's a lot of wrestling going on. So next Sunday at 5, we're going to recap King of the Ring and do a little preview of AEW, Double or Nothing. So get ready for that. The other thing is big fun news for this weekend. We are trying some new things out, taking the show on the road. Half of us. Nikki has to tend to the bar and our fur baby Jackson. But
sick.
Yeah, he's been having a rough go of it with his tummy lately. But regardless, we're going to make an appearance, or I'm going to make an appearance, and trying to broadcast live tomorrow. Mark your calendars from 9 to 11 a.m. and Sunday from 9 to 11 a.m. at Wrestle Show, New Jersey, in Hazlet, New Jersey. We're going to be at the Hilton. Hopefully, they have great internet there, and we'll be able to simulcast, have Nikki call in and tend to the bar. We're hoping to get some guests on the show. So you never know. We never know sometimes who's going to show up to happy hour. So mark your calendars, get ready, set your notifications. That's going to go out later tonight.
Day drinking, kids.
You don't have to. Again, you can drink alcohol. You can have mimosas if you'd like in the morning. I will be there probably having a soda to get some caffeine in me. But make sure you mark your calendars. It's going to be a fun time tomorrow. So Nick's going to have a little nook of sorts somewhere. You married this. So
I know.
Shame on you. What does it say about you?
I don't know. I really don't know what it says about me.
Steven knows. In scenic Hazlet, exactly.
So scenic.
So, brings us to our third topic of the evening. There is a new active tribal chief. Solo Sikoa is now, according to last Friday's SmackDown, which he told Paul Heyman so eloquently, that even though Paul has not spoken to Roman Reigns, Solo, in fact, has. And until Roman returns, Solo is the acting tribal chief. Nikki, I refer to you.
I loved this, and I texted Nick last night. I was like, "Drop it for the podcast next Friday." I love this. I love, like, not that no one knows this, but Paul Heyman, Chef Kiss, like, obviously a pro, obviously a legend, obviously a Hall of Famer. His reactions, just everything about Paul Heyman made this, and I know, wasn't a great necessarily promo from Solo. I feel like he does need a lot of work, and I feel like Heyman helps him. But I really did just love this. So Heyman comes in, and he's like, I'm Roman's wise man. And Solo was like, you lied. Like, you pulled him from the draft, and we got drafted third when we should have got drafted first. And he's like, why are you trying to take money out of my pocket? You trying to take food out of my kid's mouth? And he's like, what are you trying to do? And he was like, no, I'm the wise man. I protect Roman. I protect the family. And then he was like, well, you haven't spoken to...
So just to confirm, was Heyman that pulled him, or was it Solo? Because I feel like...
Heyman pulled... He said it to Nick Aldis 2 weeks ago. Heyman pulled Roman. And he's like, well, and then Solo was saying that backfired on you because now we got drafted in the third round when we should have got drafted first. And he was like, you haven't talked to Roman since Mania when he lost our belt.
Right.
And then he goes, well, I have. And then Heyman was like clutching his pearls and saying, he's like, until he comes back, I'm in charge of the bloodline. I call the shots. You'll be my wise man, orders of the tribal chief. And then he does this a man,
the mafia hug.
Yeah, like the back of a man's hand on the back of a man's head. It's just like, it just feels so sinister in this way. Like,
well, that's how he hugged. That's how he hugged Jimmy. That's how he hugged Jimmy. That's how Roman hugged. Was it Jay?
And he did that to Sammy before.
Yeah, it's the
so
KOD.
Like. The look to like Tonga is just like, oh, I'm just like, oh, get it. And then cut to later in the night, Tonga has the match with Angelo Dawkins to the King of the Ring qualifier. And then, of course, Solo and Tongaloa take out Montez Ford with the Samoan spike. They all get into the ring. They're beating up Dawkins. Solo hits Dawkins with the Samoan spike, and they all put up the ones. So they all put up the ones, and you see like Solo's head snap back and look at Heyman, and Heyman's like, "It's up! I have the ones up! Like we're doing it!" And just like Heyman just sells it like he's terrified of Solo, and I think that does a lot for Solo because there's just rumors last week. I don't think we touched on it. That people were worried about Jacob Fatu coming in and taking away from Solo. I heard
that.
When Roman wanted Solo to be like the guy, so I feel like Heyman being so terrified of Solo is helping. I don't think that jacket helps him remotely, but I think
it looks pretty badass.
I like Solo a lot. I liked him in NXT when he was the street champ, and I've liked him this far. I want him to do well. I think some respect. I'm excited about this. Like, immediately texted you. I was like, oh my God, we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know if we can get to this next week, but like, it feels like a Tama and Jay final.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to work. And we love our Gunter, and I should be Gunter, but like, ooh, if how you want that storyline to go, it feels real spicy and real exciting to me.
So, yeah. It's really, I'm excited to see how this all plays out. Again, Tama's father won King of the Ring. So it could further the whole bloodline storyline. So it could be a really exciting, next phase of this. So, and, the whole royalty aspect of it and how they kayfabe.
Yeah.
So phone lines are open. So we're going to open up the phone lines. Again, you never know who's going to show up. And we had this idea. Well, Nikki had this idea a couple weeks ago that when we have guests on, our first female guest, we should call it Ladies Night. So ladies and gentlemen, our first official guest on the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour for Ladies Night, Miss Zoey Skye. Zoey, welcome in.
Oh, surprise. Hey guys, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Not bad. I'm a mess. I'm on the road traveling. I just got done at the gym, so I'm in my car. This is how you get me today.
No, we appreciate it. We appreciate the time. So I noticed you're driving. Are you on your way? I know you're going to be part of Wrestle Show New Jersey. Are you on your way? Traveling here as we speak.
Yeah, I actually am. It was a long drive. I didn't want to have to leave at 2 a.m., so I figured I'd make the trip today, and that way I'm there first thing in the morning. I'm there bright and early. So yeah, I am on my way out to New Jersey now.
Awesome. So, Nikki, we like to do ladies first here. So, Nikki, first. I let my wife here take it away.
So, my first question is always like, I'm so interested to know, like, what got you into wrestling? Was it like a match or a wrestler or a pay-per-view that you saw that, or like, oh, I need to do that forever? That's my thing now.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like growing up, I loved hockey. My mom had season tickets to Pittsburgh Penguins. So every home game, she would switch between taking me, my brother, and my younger sister to a game, and I was in love. And I told myself, this is what I want to do. Well, and then I found wrestling, and I still love hockey by all means, but I never committed to learning and playing the game. Besides, in my driveway at home. So when I found wrestling, I was just intrigued. The characters, the stories, the people. Of course, back when I was watching, it was like the Divas era. The ladies just did bra and panties matches. It wasn't anything crazy, but I was fixated with guys like Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Undertaker, Chris Jericho. The list goes on and on. And I was just like, man, I don't know how, but that's what I want to do. It took until I was 18. I was in the military. Just sitting at home one night, and I saw a local company on TV, Cleveland All Pro Wrestling, ran by JT Lightning, and I was just like, "Whoa, I can go somewhere and train and actually do this." Yes. So I went and checked out a show after a weekend drill because I was in the reserves. So I did my weekend with my unit and literally caught the last match of the show, Chris Hero and Claudio Castagnoli, main event. Literally walked in uniform and was just like, I got to do this. So, as they say, the rest is history. I started training not long after that with JT. Eventually, Johnny Gargano took over the school, and now here I am 17 plus years later, literally living my dream.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's always nice to hear everyone's unique story on how they got there. So we're talking with Zoey Skye. We have to give a shout out to our friends at DNS Wrestling Collectibles who are sponsoring this interview in this portion of our show. They're actually going to be here with you're going to be there tomorrow at Wrestle Show New Jersey, yes. Right? I know from let me just get the time right here. So from 10 to 4. If you're in the area in Hazlet, New Jersey, you want to come out and meet Zoey, hang out with us all here, feel free to come on down. So, yeah, Zoey, I guess take us through, what was that like, again, when then Johnny takes over the school, what you're just starting out, what is that journey like, breaking in, getting booked and everything like that, as you start out?
Yeah, so I am not a very outgoing and sociable person. So for me, going to training, even though there may have only been anywhere from 3 to 10, 12 people in training, it was such an intimate class experience that I was anxious and nervous the whole time. I was afraid to do something wrong, but I was very athletic. I played sports in school. I wasn't a wrestler, but I ran. I did basketball, soccer. I played anything that I possibly could. So I was athletic in the sense of I was able to get in the ring and get used to things, and I could run the ropes and things that of course you get blown up and you have, it's a thing to literally retrain because it's a whole experience. But I felt like I was able to adapt well, minus being just socially awkward. I haven't gotten over that over the years. I've gotten better, but I haven't gotten over it. But it was one of those things where it was like, okay, I just want to learn and absorb as much as possible every time I'm here. I still was super nervous about going to training every single time. So every class, no matter how many or how few were there, it was just like, okay, it's me and the guys. I want to fit in and I want to connect, but I'm going to sit in the corner until it's my turn to do a drill or to do something. And that carried on even after I got through training, and would go to other schools and sit in, and just, instead of me participating in class, still being a student, still learning, still not being booked, I was still too nervous to get in the ring in front of people I'd never met now. So I would sit and I would just watch everybody, and I would learn in that way. And I'm very much a visual learner as well. So that kind of worked. But it was one of those things where, it took time to learn and adapt to training and just being a people person in that sense. But then to get bookings was a whole nother story. Thankfully, in a way, I came in at a time there were not very many girls around. Myself, Sassy Steph, we probably wrestled each other hundreds and hundreds of times over the time that we started to her retiring, just because there was nobody else around. Her, Brittany Force, Jessica Havoc, Nevaeh and Madison Rain in their early days, but they were still far enough away that people didn't bring them up to my area. So I wrestled guys more often than not. And because I was one of very few girls, I did easily get booked. I didn't have to reach out and make contacts as much as, say, I would now, because it was just, hey, you're a girl, you're local, we want you. And I would be booked multiple shows every weekend, anywhere from 2 to 4 shows a weekend, Friday through Sunday, every weekend for months, because it was just easy. Plus I wrestled every Tuesday at a local bar in Akron, Ohio. So it was like I was constantly being able to be booked, and it was nice, but I never got to learn that connection and how to put together like a resume, so to speak, and put together information to put myself out there, because it just came to me. So over the years I've learned that. So it's great to know, but it's one of those things that I harp on people now, that I'm like, no, get your stuff together, reach out, because it's easy for people to reach out to you, but it doesn't happen like it used to. Like, you have to put yourself out there, male or female, to get yourself out.
Right. No, absolutely. And actually, it kind of bleeds into. Nikki wanted to ask you a little bit about wrestling. Wrestling.
Because again, also watching in the Divas era, it's so hard to just see like the stupid panty matches or whatever, and like I'm just gonna like slam your head into your big hair into the mat. So sort of like. Obviously, women's wrestling's come so far. We're actually wrestling, which is so exciting. And I don't want to be like that cliche, like, oh, what about the women's revolution? But like, sort of like how you feel, how women's wrestling have come so far in the past couple of years. And I feel like obviously being, to me, more respected, or, actually looked at more than like, oh, you're, in a little skirt, than actually doing the fucking moves.
You're right. Like, it's one of those things where, like, I don't ever want to downplay what anybody has done. That if I was around and when I was watching wrestling growing up, and if that was still how it was today, that probably would not be for me. I don't cover up entirely, but I'm more covered up in my in-ring attire than most girls. I don't flaunt things. You can see this is me. I don't do my hair and makeup on a regular basis. I get up, brush my hair, and I'm always busy. I'm on the go. But I'm not, the girls that had to do the bras and panties matches and such, like, yeah, they had minimal training and it was all just for show, but that was the time, so that's just what was kind of there and expected. Again, I won't be negative toward them. That's just what it was. They got paid to do that. That's what they said, yes, I'll do it. So they did that. But it's definitely evolved and changed so drastically. It's so funny because Jessica and Havoc and I were just talking about this last week, about how so many people and girls are saying, oh man, I wish women's wrestling was showcased more, and I wish people understood what we go through. And I was like, not to downplay what people are dealing with today, but boy, where were you 10, 15, 20 years ago? Yeah. You don't understand how much things have changed and how much women's wrestling is being showcased. We literally have all women's events consistently throughout the United States, including on big platforms. AEW or WWE did the Mae Young Classic for a couple of years. It's a bummer that they didn't do that anymore, but look how many females, regardless of their independent background or not, look how many girls are signed to top companies. And then how many other females are on the indies on a constant basis that are still just going left and right, just booked everywhere, then overseas and so forth. So it's one of those things where it's evolved, and there's always ways for things to be evolved, evolve into something better and more positive. And I feel like for the most part, we're still continuously making those steps. So as long as everybody's just enjoying what they're doing and putting in an effort to better themselves and a better just professional wrestling, women's wrestling will also continue to evolve and grow because of that.
Well put. So we have one of our listeners here, Lisa, is chiming in with one of her questions. She wants to know, what was your greatest lesson while training to become a wrestler?
Oh boy, that was a long time ago. I got hit in the head a lot. Let me think. You know, it's one of those things where, JT passed of cancer years ago now. So when Johnny took over school, it was because JT wasn't able to come and train us on a consistent basis. But every time he came into the school, which was usually once a week or so, but every time he would come into the training class, or he would happen to be at a show that I was on, even if I had a very minimal role, he always made sure to pass along knowledge. And it was always just, I felt like even though he was very badass and had a very intimidating presence, he was always sure to, he'd still crack a laugh and he'd have fun. He was very professional, very businessy, but he very much wanted everybody to be better. So it's like I'd say the greatest lesson as a whole is just to go be a fun, good person, but help everyone. If I'm helping somebody, they can also help me. I'm telling people all the time, I'm constantly learning. Again, this comes from training as well. Like, you're told you should always be learning. And there are girls, I just wrestled a match with a girl. She's only been in the business, like wrestling matches, for a few months. And I felt like I was able to learn something from her. I won't get into specifics because she trained someplace differently than me. And her background was different than mine. So we were able to change and adapt things that I haven't had to worry about in years because I've just been so consistent at doing my own thing. So it's great to be challenged by other people. So if that makes sense, like the greatest lesson I've learned is just to continue to be challenged, to continue to learn, and always put yourself in a position to learn and grow.
Absolutely. So you've been in a lot of, your different promotions over the years. Does one stand out for you that you felt like, you kind of took it to a whole other level? It really just worked for you and your character, or is it just all kind of, just different experiences that have blended into your career?
Yeah, very much. I'm not a very super outgoing person. That changes because of wrestling, thankfully. Like, I've been more outgoing in my personal life, but because of wrestling, as soon as that music hits and I get through the curtain, like, it's a whole different experience. So, like, I can just enjoy it and so forth. For the first 10 or so years of my career, so to say, I wrestled as Angel Dust. I still have people all the time come up to me like, "Oh, hey, I remember you when you were Angel Dust." And now I'm like, oh boy, I feel old because that was so long ago. But I made that transition and that change of name. So there was a slight, I went from Angel Dust to Dust for a brief moment to Zoey Skye. And the Dust character kind of made me realize that I can be more than just me. I don't have to just be I can change who I am and be a character more than just being me on a higher level. But I feel like with all this change between Angel Dust, and Zoey Skye, working with Shimmer, I'm so mad at myself, Shimmer Women's Wrestling, that I did not put myself in a position to be on those shows earlier. I could have been there from practically day one. Like, they were around just a couple years before I started. There was no reason that I didn't put myself out there. But again, like I said, I got booked so consistently, and I was so nervous and anxious to reach out to people to get booked places that I didn't try to jump in a car. I didn't try to reach out to them to get booked. But when I got there, in a locker room where the girls want to see each other succeed, where they all push each other, from the bottom of the card to the top of the card. It didn't matter who you were on this roster. You were there to shine. You were there to showcase who you were, and everybody wanted each other to succeed so that the companies could succeed. And when I got there, I felt like I belonged. Like, I knew a lot of the girls, so that was great. But I went in, I was able to showcase who I was. I was able to wrestle talent that I would never be able to wrestle anywhere else. And it helped me believe in myself and grow. And I sit here as the Shimmer champion, but I sit here waiting for Shimmer to come back so that I can continue to grow as a performer.
Well put. And before we let you get out of here, we have one more question, actually, because you bled right into it with talking about Shimmer. One of our
Perfect.
Steve wants to call in and ask you a little bit about that. Steve, welcome in. You're on with Zoey Skye.
Hi, thank you for joining the show today. Thank you for taking my call.
Hi, Steve.
Hi. Hi. So you were the last Shimmer champion.
Yes, current, so to say. I'm not going to say last yet until they completely officially say they're done. I refuse to say they're done. I'm the current champion, yes.
Undefeated for 2.5 years, yes.
I won't go that crazy, but yes.
That's a great attitude to have. But I mean, what was the that must have been bittersweet that you won the title the one night, and then there was at least for now anyway, as you said, no more promotion. What was the vibe that night during the show? I mean, was there hope that Shimmer was going to be continuing beyond that day?
Yeah, it was still kind of, it wasn't, as the people like to say, it wasn't kayfabed, it wasn't a secret, but it wasn't directly put out there. There was a lot of question in the air, and of course, like backstage things were going around, and we kind of felt like there was going to be a brief hiatus, but we were just hoping that maybe, and we still are at that hope that's not going to happen, that it's not just entirely done. But with the thought of potentially having the title put on me at that show, for me, I refuse for it to be the last show. I feel like if it's the last event, for as much as I appreciate that I got this title opportunity and I had the championship, I don't want to be the last champion. There are so many talented girls that started out in that company that are still wrestling, that I feel like if there's a last, it should be somebody who has been there, has challenged everybody in that locker room, has been places, so like I'm 1,000% grateful. I will never be negative toward it. I hope that there's more to it than it seems like there's going to be, but I'm very grateful that I was given like the faith to be like, hey, we're going to put you here because we feel you deserve this. So just to get up to that point, to have a main event match, let alone have a championship match, and then carry the title, regardless of what the future holds, I'm very grateful. And again, we just really hope that maybe things will change in, months or even years. We can at least have one big Shimmer reunion, and I can at least get a title defense.
Well put. Well put. So we talk about your last Shimmer match. Let's talk about, before we let you go, what do you got coming up? I know you have a match this weekend or tomorrow that you're prepping for. So take us through. Where can everyone find you and what's going on?
Man, I can hardly keep up with myself right now. Yes, tomorrow I'm with the Warriors of Wrestling. I have a triple threat match. That was kind of a last minute thing. One of the guys had to cancel, and since I was in town and they wanted to fill a spot, thankfully, that's kind of been my rule through a lot of my career. It's just I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm a great last minute fill in, but I feel as though because of that, I can get in the ring with anyone and share experience and share knowledge with anyone. So it's great. It's great to be able to be counted on for stuff like that. I wrestle for the Midget Wrestling Warriors. We have a lot coming up. I know we're in Indiana at the end of the month. I know next month I might be here and there doing some stuff for AEW, more Midget Wrestling Warrior shows. I'm just kind of here and there. So the best way to kind of keep up with where I am as I post things is, my social media, Facebook, Zoey Skye, Twitter and Instagram, Zoey Skye Pro. I don't post much in terms of where I am on my website, but my website has all kinds of merch and cool stuff going on. ShopZoeySkye.com. So that's how you can find me. Social medias, and then the website has the email for a direct contact. So anybody can hit me up there or see where I'm going to be through those.
Awesome. Well, if you haven't already, make sure you follow Zoey. Zoey, we can't thank you enough. Have safe travels to New Jersey with this rain that's coming, unfortunately. So drive safe as you come east.
Yeah. So thank you, and I hope that I appreciate you guys having me on. I really appreciate it. This was fun.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
Take care, Zoey. Ladies and gentlemen, Zoey Skye. As again, you can find her tomorrow. She will be at Wrestle Show New Jersey in Hazlet, New Jersey. DNS Wrestling Collectibles are sponsoring our segment. Thank you again for them for having us out. We will actually have Dave from DNS coming out tomorrow. We have our simulcast tomorrow, which, again, if you're coming out to see Zoey, come out and say hello. I'll be there. Have Nick's little nook table. I'm getting that over. I'm getting it over.
Oh, Lord, help us.
But there's tremendous, not only is Zoey going to be there, but you can see a tremendous amount of superstars are going to be at the show tomorrow. You got Billy Gunn, Devon Dudley, Bubba Ray Dudley was just added. I did this graphic a little too soon, but Bubba Ray Dudley is going to be on it. You have the Waynes, Luchasaurus, a lot of AEW folks, as we mentioned. So just a tremendous amount going on. If you're free this weekend, come on down and hang out. So if you can't make it and you want to just listen in, we're broadcasting live, streaming tomorrow. We're trying to go live at 9 a.m. to 11. It's a long day. We're trying to do the same thing on Sunday. So we're going to have some fun at the show. We're going to have some fun this weekend. A lot coming up. I'm going to start posting the stream. It's not posted yet, but keep an eye out. But you all know because you're live. We have a bunch of new listeners that came in. So if you're new here and you haven't done so yet, hit the old like and subscribe button. And make sure you chime in. We're here every Friday at 6 p.m. But this week, we have a lot going on. Let's read off a few comments before we get out of here. Or any last thoughts? Thank you, Zoey. Yeah, thank you, Zoey. That was fun. Ladies' Night. First of many. That's right, Steve. What a nice lady. So, before we get out of here, this is a shorter one, but a fun one. I thought we got through a lot. Any last thoughts before we get out of here, Nikki?
I guess SmackDown's in an hour, so get your snacks ready.
Get your snacks down for SmackDown.
Yes. Take you and your dog out. I guess more qualifier stuff.
I was off cue on that. Sorry.
Worst.
Well, I got a better one.
What is that?
Because I missed my cue. Well, whatever.
Lord.
I made it most of the show without any sound effects, so congratulations.
Again, SmackDown's coming up. We got more King of the Ring stuff that we'll talk about, obviously, next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so...
Lisa, don't encourage him.
Oh, did she write an awesome comment about me? Let me see what you did there. Yeah, I see what I did there, too. So, when you're making breakfast tomorrow...
Come have
eating breakfast
with me.
Yeah. Nikki's having mimosas. I'm going to be sitting manning a table. It's going to be a fun adventure. I'm going to call it an adventure because we don't know who's going to show up, what's going to happen tomorrow. But
where we're going, we don't need roads.
We just need
Wi-Fi. In the back of my DeLorean and gut it to 88.
We don't need roads. We just need Wi-Fi. Come on, Holiday Inn. Let's go, Hazlet. Get your Wi-Fi ready. But it's going to be a fun time. It is an action-packed weekend full of wrestlers. Yeah, next 2 weeks. Honestly, it's wrestling this weekend, wrestling next weekend, and it's summertime. Like, that's summertime. So get ready, everybody. But on that note, did you have any last final thoughts, or do we get through those? Yeah, that's pretty much.
I don't know. Watch SmackDown. Get a snack. Take your dog out.
Get a snack. Get a snack before SmackDown. But yes. Until next time, it's always a pleasure. You don't have to go home.
But you can't stay here. Bye.